Hello. I believe I'm live now. Now, I have not done a live stream for a little while. And so there's some things I want to talk about, but most importantly, I want to describe the job I work now because since the end of June, I believe, I've been a floral clerk at Hy-Vee. So I'm in the basically the flower department. So a lot of people don't know exactly what we all do in the floral department, and I didn't know before I started. So let me give you a breakdown of exactly what my job is like for people considering working in a flower shop like this, whether at Hy-Vee or somewhere similar. There's a variety of things that I do in a day, and flowers and other plants come in. The cut flowers that are delivered to us, I have to cut the end of the stems off and put them in buckets of water to preserve them. And we put those out for sale. We have places for those. And then there are other plants that are in dirt that are living, and we try to water those regularly and keep those alive. But since each plant has its own amount of water it needs, you can underwater or overwater, and either will kill the plant. So that's the scary part is that my biggest mistake has been overwatering plants. That's been my biggest mistake when it comes to watering. So they have to tell me what exactly to do with each plant. Um, but aside from watering the plants and cutting stems of flowers and stuff, I also have been trained as a cashier in the floral department. Now, I did take the cashier training online, but the only hands-on training has been in the floral department. So I know how to get items scanned. I know how to do various things. So basically, I just have learned what buttons I have to push and what to do to get people's items scanned, and then when they pay, because people pay either with a card, like a credit or debit card, or they pay with cash. And if they pay with a card, then I just have to push this one button to because the machine that scans the card is connected to the other computer machine. It's weird. So if I don't push that button, then it doesn't process. But if they pay with cash, that's where it gets interesting. Is that I have to I have to punch in the amount of cash they're giving me, and then if I do that, then the drawer opens, and then the machine tells me how much cash back I have to give them. So that's the thing. So somebody will say they'll buy a $15 just because bouquet, and we have different prices of just because, and they're all multiples of five. We have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25s. So let's say somebody buys a $15 fresh bouquet of flowers. Well, then with tax, it's probably going to be 17, $18 and some cents. So then they always, for some reason, people like to pay with $20 bills. So then I take a 20, put it in the drawer, and then I have to give them whatever cash back the machine tells me. Which, even though I'm good at math, I guess it is good that the machine's there to tell me in case I screw it up. So, and then another thing that I personally do, and this just makes sense, is now some people want their receipt and some people don't want their receipt and just throw it away if you give it to them. But whenever somebody pays with cash, I print them a receipt and don't even ask them if they want the receipt because it's literally their only proof that they paid me the cash. Besides the fact that I remember, if they pay with a credit or debit card, then it's a different story because if somebody tries to accuse them of stealing, well, they've got it on their bank statement what day and time they use their card to pay for something. But when it's cash, then there's no proof of it other than the receipt and whoever remembers that they paid. So I print it, and if they don't take the receipt, well, then, I put it in the trash, but it's still there for the rest of the day if anybody comes and questions me about whether a customer's paid. And that has, in fact, happened. because there was a customer who paid for topsoil. And the topsoil bags are outside because they're dirty and dirt gets everywhere if they had them inside. So a manager saw somebody load topsoil into their truck or whatever, and then they came and asked me if they had paid for it. And I was able to show them a receipt that that customer did pay for it. Because there's a lot of theft at our store for whatever reason. So we always have to be careful about that to make sure there's a record of payments so that we know who paid and that people aren't falsely accused of stealing when they did in fact pay for it. So there's a lot of mental processes that goes into the job because I'm a cashier, I cut flowers, I water flowers, I clean the buckets and dry the buckets and put them away, I sweep the floor, and I also, new plants that come in, I have to, and invasives, I have to price them. But I always ask my manager or whoever else is there that's more experienced what the prices I'm supposed to put on. Because when I'm on my own, there's a few problems. When I'm on my own, which often happens, I've only been there like 2 months, I think. And what happens is the other people come in at 7 in the morning is when the full shop opens. And they check the boxes of all the orders and all sorts of things. They have a lot they get done. And then usually what happens is that they'll have me working usually 11 to 7, sometimes 10 to 6, and occasionally 9 to 5. So I'm usually working 8-hour shifts. But what ends up happening is that the other people end up leaving at 3, 4, or 5, and then I'm there for the final 2 or 3 hours by myself in the floral department. And when I'm by myself, I actually do pretty well. And I'm very honored that they trust me all by myself to run the floral shop all by myself. Now, there are benefits and disadvantages to me being alone for the final few hours. The disadvantage is that when I'm the only one there, it can be very difficult to, sweep the floor, clean the shelves, wipe off the counters, take out the trash and all that stuff, because I also have customers coming to the register at the time, or on the phone ring. Now the phone, I'll get back to the phone call later on. That's the tough one. So when I have to answer the phone, help any customer at the register who wants to pay for their stuff. Well, I also blow up balloons. Yeah, we blow up balloons for people. They pay for their balloons. We have the latex balloons, which are horribly hard to tie, although I've gotten better at it over time. And there's the mylar, which are super easy because they don't actually have to be tied. They're built in such a way that the air doesn't leak out of them once you get it in. I like the mylar balloons. Plus, they're aluminum. They last a lot longer. But if they're inflated, the air doesn't leak out of them for some time. So I definitely recommend the mylar balloons, especially if you're allergic to latex, in which case you would have a problem with latex balloons. But anyway, like I'm saying, it can be very difficult to water all the plants and clean up everything at the end of the night like I'm supposed to do when I also have customers coming. So that's the part that's difficult. However, there is an advantage. Now there is an advantage to me being alone at the end of the night as well. Even though it can be difficult, there is an advantage to it. See, when I'm the only one there, and I'm the only one answering the phone or at the register helping people pay, or for people ask me questions about things, people get to know who I am. And so I'm building my reputation as a floral clerk that way, and people are starting to get to know who I am by now. But also, there's another thing that I can do is that I can take the time with the customer when they may have a lot of questions or they may want me to do something for them. There is an advantage to it because when I'm with the other people, our manager and the designers, I always have this nagging feeling that they are judging everything I do, which of course they are, because they're supposed to be training in the proper way to do things, obviously. But when I'm by myself in the floral department and it's only me and the customers that come to me, then I like that because somebody will want to buy a few bouquets of flowers and they'll want to put them in a vase and cut them and tie a ribbon or straw around it and something like that, or I can wrap the flowers in this tissue paper and plastic wrap stuff as well. And the thing is, if I'm with the other people, they'll probably say I did a shitty job of wrapping something or whatever, and then try to do it themselves. Whereas when I'm by myself, then it's all about, is the customer satisfied? And 9 times out of 10, the customers are actually very satisfied because they see the effort I put into it. Asking them what length they want the stems cut so they'll fit into the vase and whatever. So almost all of my customers are satisfied. That's the good news is almost all of our customers are satisfied and they're very friendly. What I find difficult are the phone calls. The phone calls are difficult because hearing people over the phone is difficult because I can't hear the difference between a D and a B or an S and an F, and then people have to start, they have to start spelling things in a weird way, like S as in Sam or F as in Frank or B as in Batman. I don't know, or D as in dog. You know what I mean? And phone conversations take forever because that's the only way I can hear them. And so I had to use a line that I never thought I would have to say this. But just yesterday, I had a phone call where I had a customer that was wanted to send they wanted me to take an order for some kind of birthday bouquet or whatever they wanted to send somebody, and they wanted me to describe our flowers to them. And I said, well, I'm sorry, but I just don't know how to describe over the phone how flowers look. And I will tell you, I love my job in the floral department. It's nice, and I'm getting better at it. I still have a few areas I struggle, but when it comes to watering plants and cutting the stems and putting the price on things and stuff, I'm as long as I have people to let me know what the price is, or I have a way of looking it up, I usually do pretty good. But my best advice to anybody who, to all of our customers at the Highview Floral Department, first of all, do not call the same day that you want something delivered to someone. Don't do that because usually we're booked up and it's not a doable thing. And so what you want to do is you want to call 1 or 2 days ahead of whenever you want something delivered, so that we can take the order over the phone and so that our designers can get things ready the day beforehand. Because I'm not a designer, okay? I can sell anything to somebody as is, unless it's our fresh arrangements in the buckets, because those are cash and carry only. And there's actually reasons for that, because those are delivered to us from our distributor, and they're just as is. So we don't deliver those because, first of all, they don't really last that long, before they wilt. And because they're not something that we custom made, it doesn't represent our department. Whereas when you have a specially made arrangement by one of our designers, well, that's custom made by someone in our department. So that represents us. So that's how I understand it. That's why some things are cash and carry only, whereas other things can be delivered, and then people see that and say, "Oh, well, that looks good," and then they know that it came from, the floral department, at Hy-Vee. because we have these little cardboard things that have our logo on it. So that's how people know what came from us, something that we did. Um, so, but here's the thing about phone orders that's difficult is there's a lot of information. Okay, let me explain something. So when you come and you pay for flowers at the register or even somewhere else in the store, all you need to do is take what you see what looks good to you, take what you want, and pay for it either at a standard register or at the floral department register. We can ring you up. Um, and that's it. With you pay with cash or card. It's that simple. But when you place an order over the phone, oh, there's so much more that goes to it. This is the hardest part, and sometimes I screw it up, but I'm getting better at this. So, first of all, we have to know what the customer's name and phone number is. We need to know who they are. We need to know how to contact them if we need to contact them for any reason. And I can give you a few examples of that later on. So we need to know when do they need, what day and time do they need something delivered. And if it's for a funeral, we need to know what time the visitation is to know when the flowers need to arrive there. And so I have to get their name and phone number, but we also have to get the delivery address and the zip code. And see, the zip code determines what the delivery charge is because zip codes that are further away require more gas for the high-V vans that deliver. So the charge may be $10, $12, or $15 depending on what the zip code is. So the zip code, it can be very important. But we have to have the name of the recipient, or at least the organization or something, and the phone number in case the driver needs to contact them. Because what if? Let me give you two really good examples of why we need the customer's phone number or place the order or the recipient's phone number. Let me give you some good examples because I've had to fight with customers who do not want to give us phone numbers. So first of all, if for any reason we are unable to fulfill an order, let's suppose that the van got blown away by a tornado or in a car accident and all the flowers got destroyed. Well, we need to be able to call and apologize to customers that we were not able to deliver the flowers that they ordered to the recipients. We need to let people know that, obviously, and also if there's something we're out of a certain type of flower that they wanted in arrangement, we need to call them and see what kind of substitution they would make instead. So there's all kinds of situations that where we need to call the original customer who paid for the order. But the recipient's phone number is perhaps even more important because what if somebody tries to deliver something to somebody's house or apartment and they're not there at the time? Well, they're not going to just leave it out outside their door for it to get stolen or something like that. So they need to have a way to contact that person and let them know that they tried to deliver an order that was sent to them, but that they weren't home. So then that person who's contacted the recipient can let them know whether or not they can retry delivery of the next day, perhaps, or if the customer wants to just come to the store and pick up the order that they weren't home to receive. So there's reasons that the drivers need to be able to contact the person who is receiving the plan for the flower arrangement. And just like there's reasons we need to be able to contact the original customer who placed the order. So there's all the information is important pretty much. And this actually is something that makes perfect sense, yet I didn't anticipate. But as it turns out, churches and funeral homes are the biggest customers of the floral department. Think about it. All the weddings and funerals. For some reason, that there people pay to have a lot of flowers at weddings and funerals. So there are a lot of orders placed from organizations like that. So basically, we sell living plants as well as cut flowers is part of flower arrangements and stuff, but also the balloons. And so I would say that, and the way I do things depends. It's different because when I'm by myself, I take time with the customer, um, perhaps more than I can during the busier part of the day while we're still processing flowers, and I just do whatever I can to help them, pretty much. Um, and then another thing, and this is another thing, is that sometimes when there's a lot of customers waiting, there's a lot of customers at the counter, and I'm the only one. Well, somebody else has to wait to pay for their stuff while I'm blowing up balloons for the previous customer who paid for their balloons. So there are times when perhaps maybe things are not top notch quality. Like perhaps maybe the length of the strings might be too short, or maybe not tied as well as I would like, or perhaps I don't have time to curl the ribbon. Sometimes we curl the ribbons to make them look fancy. So when there's a lot of customers at the counter, that means I feel rushed. So sometimes I don't always have the most top quality work, but I always do the best I can with the available time I have. On top of trying to get all the cleaning and watering done. And yesterday was most interesting because my manager told me that we had to get the outside plants watered. There had to be 100 plants outside, and they had to be watered. And she didn't care if I had to stay past 7. So she said I could just close out things at 7 like I normally do, and then just go outside and water for a while to make sure all those get watered. So that's what I did. So I worked an extra hour last night, and man, when I got home, I was so tired, and I went to bed, man, like it was crazy. So yeah, my new job in the floral department is actually it's quite exhausting. It's quite physical, but here's the good part about it is that it does not hurt my knees in the same way that my previous government job or being a courtesy clerk at IB did. Because honestly, pushing carts and running around the store doing all kinds of things as a courtesy clerk also wore out my knees, and my right knee is still kind of bad. And I don't know if it'll ever fully recover, although it has improved very slowly over time. But in the floral department, most of the time I don't have to bend, except when I'm cleaning certain things. So I can just stand up tall and I don't have to bend my knees, so my knees get a break. So I like that. And there is one more benefit of working in the floral department that I do want to mention. And I'm not, by nature, I'm not good at talking to people. This might surprise you, people who have watched my live streams. But when it comes to people in person and especially over the phone, I I sound stupid. I really do. And social skills are just not my thing. Um, but having to talk to many customers at the counter and over the phone has enabled me to slowly improve being able to talk to people. So I feel like getting information up right on the orders and talking to the customers, finding out what they want, and also listening, because that's another thing is that I have to listen to what they want instead of just jumping and asking them a bunch of questions like, do you want your balloons on? Wait, what color? Wait, do you want, because if you overload the customer with too many questions, then they have the burden of choice and it confuses the hell out of them. So I try not to do that. I'm getting better. So, but I love my job in the floral department because it's I th- there's a lot of things that are good about it because I'm getting better at it and I work with a nice group of people. But there is one thing about the floral department, and I think this is probably the biggest benefit is that when I'm in the floral department, I'm no longer having to touch customers, meat and dairy and eggs and all their non-vegan foods that are literally come from murder of animals. And so the fact that I'm working mostly with plants and blowing up balloons for customers and just hoping people pay for things means that for the first time in a long time, I basically have a vegan job. And that means the world to me because I'll tell you, I get kind of emotionally upset because we do live in a non-vegan world, and we live in a world where people are not even aware that they're paying for murder when they're buying meat and dairy and eggs. They're not even aware of this stuff, and oh man, it gets emotional. And you know what? There are problems in this world that are impossible to fix, and because people just won't all agree to anything. So sometimes I get sad about things, but at least my job doesn't get me as emotionally upset as being a courtesy clerk did, because I had to see all that stuff. And aside from that, life is pretty good right now because there's my life with my roommate, and we get along just great. So I love that. So I work my job a lot. I've been working 8-hour shifts, 4 or 5 days a week lately. And so the job has been good, although I get very exhausted at the end of the day. You can't do much. But when I do get free time, I like to play Tetris or Minecraft or even RuneScape a little bit these days. So that's basically my rant about what my job in the floral department is like and just how life is in general. So I thought it was good to do a live stream like this because I haven't done one for a long time. So there's that. Oh, and also, I wanted to show my new shirt. I have this new shirt. It has 3 check boxes. We have male, female, and burdened with glorious purpose. And I believe that's the non-binary flag colors. So it's funny. Burdened with glorious purpose. I'm neither male nor female. I'm burdened with glorious purpose. And let me tell you something. It is funny because people don't know what I am. I have customers over the phone who can't even see me. Some of them call me ma'am, some of them call me sir, and they don't know whether I'm male or female. And it's like, hey, I can't figure it out either, but I still feel very female, and it's very interesting being transgender and also being a floral clerk where there's a lot of customers I'm interacting with. So you know what, life can be fun sometimes. So I think that's all I want to say for now. I have I'm gonna be going to my mom's place this afternoon, but I wanted to record a live stream and just talk about how life is going. So as usual, I guess if anybody has any questions or comments, you can just leave them in the comments on this video wherever you see it. But that's basically my update on life for my friends who care. Bye.